Hey y'all, come along with me while we pot up a Kintzley Ghost honeysuckle. These are all plants that I bought on clearance, 50% off, as well as the pot was on clearance for 75% off, and the trellis I bought at Home Good. But here you see me showing you the empty planter. We are going to go in with some 100% organic red cedar mulch, and that's going to be helping with drainage and to kind of fill some of the void in the bottom of the pot. We're going to spread that out there, and we used up the rest of that bag, so we'll discard that. I usually come in and put a little bit of mulch in the bottom of each of my potted plants just to help with filling some of the void, and as well as some drainage. Once that mulch gets in there, it's easier for it to drain through to the hole. And now we're going to come in with our potting soil. This is the Espoma organic potting mix, just the normal potting mix here. And we are going to fill that a good portion of the way up here. We have a lot of plants that's going into this container. So we are going to plant this full in hopes that they'll marry along well together. It's a very hot day. As you can see, I'm already red starting the project. It was a 90-degree day, 84% humidity. And I thought, well, let's get this done. It felt nice just standing there, but once I got into the project, I was like, oh, Lord. So stick with me while I get a little wet, moist, whatever you'd like to call it. But we are just working through some of that soil there, breaking it up, compacting it down into the mulch. You see me pushing it down through the mulch there. I want to make sure we're avoiding as much sinkage in the pot as possible. And then I am going to let you see there that I've got it worked through. And we are going to come in with, again, some starter fertilizer. And this is the Biotone starter fertilizer. This is also an organic product by Espoma. It is a slow release, so it'll help these new plants establish good root systems and get off to a great start. And we are going to start with this Kintzley Ghost honeysuckle. It's looking a mess. Again, it was end of season, 50% off. And we are just going to plant it as is. You'll see we're going to come through here and break it up and train it a little bit here at the end. But we're just going to bump it out of the container there, dump out the excessive soil into our container there, checking for height in the pot where I want it to sit, and making sure it is level and ready to go. And then we're going to come in with our other underplantings here before we start to backfill. So once that's situated there in the center of the pot, we are going to come in with 6 other perennials. To start anyway. There are more perennials, but we're going to start off with the largest 6. This is an echinacea that is called Sunseeker Golden Sun, and this is a Monrovia brand echinacea. This will get 24 inches tall, 16-inch spread. This is hardy to zones 4 through 9. And echinacea are great perennials. Once established, they are drought tolerant. So we are going to space these, being our largest perennial. I have 6 of them. We're going to do every other around the pot, leaving a space in between for our last perennial, which is going to come in at the end because it's just a small one, more of a ground cover. And you'll see these blooms are amazing. The Kintzley Ghost honeysuckle is a sagey green, but it does get these orange berries. And so we're going to have kind of this orange and yellow berry mix. It is, I'm just going to kind of read through the label here. The honeysuckle is a very unique vine. Through its nice yellow flowers in the summer, its main features are the unique blue saucer-like leaves that form around them. Non-invasive, hardy, and easy to grow. And like I said, it also gets these little orange fall berries, I believe. And the Kintzley Ghost honeysuckle grows 6 to 12 feet tall and 5 feet wide. And you'll see we come through and kind of train the vine at the end. But again, I'm going every other, so you'll see me leaving a space in between each echinacea that I space, or place rather. Now we are coming in with the yarrow, and we are going in between each echinacea with the yarrow. The yarrow is also a perennial. The yarrow is called Sunny Seduction. The yarrow will get 24 to 30 inches tall. Yellow blooms. Yarrow is great also because it is drought tolerant. So my idea is to have this bouquet of yellow below this sagey green foliage that also will have a little bloom on it of yellow flowers in the summer. So we're going to have this big container of brightness with yellow. And then you'll see we come in at the end with a little darker color, which we'll show you here in a little bit. But again, spacing every other plant, echinacea, yarrow, echinacea, yarrow, echinacea, yarrow, all the way around. So we have 3 and 3, a total of 6 large perennials around the base. Got me sweating there like a piece of bacon. It was the 4th of July when I was doing this. It was hotter than heck out there. But you see me coming through and just backfilling a little bit here. And I know it looks wild now, but in the end it's not going to look wild. You'll see here when we start shaping it. But again, these were all end of season plants, discounted. This is a great way to save on perennials. So the echinacea were normally $20 a bunch. Those were 10. The yarrow were normally $6 a plant. I got them for 3. And then the Kintzley honeysuckle was normally $50, which I got for 25. So it's a great way to think about what you could put together with discounted plants in the end. Here you see me pulling together all of the runners of the Kintzley honeysuckle. We are going to get ready to put the trellis over the top of this. Now, typically I would have started with the trellis first and then planted my plants, but these plants were a little too big already for that. So if it had just been the size of root ball that the yarrows were, you know, the little square ones that I showed you, that would have been fine. But some of these were already quite big to be trying to squeeze down into the trellis while it was already in there. This trellis is quite large. It is as tall as me. And being the Kintzley honeysuckle gets, 6 to 12 feet tall, I wanted a tall trellis so that we could let it get to its full glory. And you'll see me here just kind of picking the plants through this trellis. This is obviously a more difficult way of doing it. It's easier to start with the trellis in place. But being, like I said, some of these root balls were larger, I didn't want to do that. And this trellis was larger than the base of the pot, like the pot gets narrower as it goes down. So this was basically going to be sitting on a ledge that's inside of that pot, which you would have seen at the beginning when I showed you the inside. So doing the best I can to get these plants through. I could have done a better job with the echinacea. However, when the echinacea blooms are done, when these come back next year, they'll just grow up right between those little pieces of metal, so it won't be a big deal. This year, there's a couple more months left of the growing season, so it'll still form some spikes around it or blooms around it, so we'll be fine. It's not going to hurt the plant in the least. So we're just going to sink this plant, or excuse me, this trellis down around each one of these plants. And we are going to get it leveled up the best that we can, making sure that we are not damaging any plants. I did end up breaking off one of the echinacea flowers, which you'll see me kind of toss aside. I did bring that inside and put it in some water. It did not go to waste. So it is sitting on the counter. And once the yarrow takes off, it'll be great because it's a great ferny texture, very flowy and whimsical, and then the sturdiness of the echinacea. You'll notice that the textures in these plants are all different. The honeysuckle is a sagey green with broad leaves. The yarrow is a more ferny texture with a lighter, softer green. And the echinacea, there you see me throughout that third of the side, the echinacea that I broke off there. But the echinacea is a more dark green with a more firm texture or firm appearance. So there we got it set. You're going to see a lot of leaves flying off this, and that is perfectly fine. These will bounce back just fine. It's an end of the season plant. In order to get it to where I want it to be placed, you'll see me trimming off quite a bit of this. It's going to look pretty scary, but I promise you it will repay us in new vines and blooms. So there you see me taking off the clip that I used to hold the vines together. These are also the clips that I will be using to train the vine up the trellis. I got a box of assorted clips on Amazon, and I don't believe they were even more than $10 for the whole box. So I think it was like $7. So basically, I am right now going to be pulling out these wood stakes that the plant came with. That was kind of their trellis to grow up on until they were taken home to be planted. And they were a mess to get untangled, so you'll see me doing a number of different things here to try to get it in order. I'll start trying to put one up the trellis and then realizing it's not where it needs to be and taking it down and so on and so forth. So it's just kind of a process you have to go through. There's the clips that I ordered. It comes in a small, medium, and large, and they're intermixed in that package, so you get a little bit of both. Towards the bottom, I use the large just because you can see it's already more woody, or the stems are more woody towards the bottom of the honeysuckle already. So I used the larger ones there and then used the medium and the large ones as we went up top. But again, we're just going to be winding these vines around the trellis. I'm going to pick 4 good vines or 4 good leaders in the end, which you'll see here at the end of the video. It'll be the stem with 4 vines shooting off of it, 1 to go up each of the arms of the trellis. Doing a lot of pruning as I go through to try to give me a better idea of how I'm going to shape it. I know trimming seems like the wrong thing to do, but I'm more concerned about getting the shape set that I want right now versus having all of the foliage. And it'll bounce back. Like I said, it'll be throwing out new limbs here in no time. But my main concern is to get it started off in the right direction, meaning I want just 4 large branching stems to start up each side of the trellis. So we're going to trim and pull and trim and pull. You'll see it looking pretty bare here in the end, but don't be alarmed. Again, we're doing the pruning as a training, and from there on we'll be able to let it branch out and do its thing. So there's a bit of a closer look inside as far as what I'm doing. I'm trying to pull out these larger stems. And pull one to each one of the brackets there. And as I stated before, this is or was a thick jumbo mess because they had it on such a short little TP to grow. So untangling all of these was a challenge, but it's a discounted plant, 50% off, worth the work and the effort to go through and get it trained properly so that going forward it's just going to be a really cool trellised plant with an underplanting of some bright yellow blooms. There you can see more of me pulling the base apart. Those are the firm woody pieces that I stated that I wanted 4 nice branches to reach on over to each one of the 4 supports to the trellis. And that's what we're working towards there. You can see now that we're trimming some out, we're starting to see the base there, which is exactly what I wanted to do in order to get to the point where we could train it up. So we're just figuring out which ones need to go which direction here. And that does take a lot of patience. And you'll see me with that bright red face, sweat just dripping down, and that 84% humidity, but still enjoying myself even though my facial expression does not show it. Again, cutting some more out so that we can see what we're working with there at the base. And now that I'm looking through the paper of the honeysuckle, it does not have berries. It's the flowers, just the yellow flowers. But either way, it's going to be cool because it's going to be this really bright pot of yellow. And we all know yellow reminds us of sunshine and happiness, right? While you see me continue to get these branches going in the right direction with my sweaty bald head merging in a few shots there. I think you might have heard a cuss word here shortly as well, because I thought I was cutting something that I needed, but I didn't in the end, so we were good. You see, we're fighting through, we're getting it put together there, and boom. Now we're coming in with the final plant. The final plant is a ground cover called bugleweed, and the flavor is black scallop. This is sun to part sun. Now, obviously, it's going to get less sun as these plants get bigger. So hopefully this works out the way I'm thinking, but these only get 2 to 3 inches tall and 6 to 10 inches wide. These are also a perennial, hardy to zones 4 through 9. So everything in this pot, provided we treat it well, is going to come back to us next year. So this will be one that is raring to go. Once spring hits and it starts warming up, we should see all of this come back to life if we treat it well. Now, the only difference is this is a terracotta pot, which it's glazed, so that will help. But terracotta is not always great for the winter, and since these sit out, we may lose a couple of the plants. But hopefully we get it all to come back. Now, the bugleweed that we're planting here, or the black scallop, does have a really cool bloom. Obviously, I think you're seeing a couple of them that are already in bloom. But it is a blue-purple flower, so we'll have this ground cover basically covering the soil, which also will help with water retention because it'll keep the sun off the soil directly. And then we'll have these dark foliage with these purple blooms, and then above the dark foliage with the purple blooms we'll have all of this beautiful green and yellow texture with the texture of the yarrow, the texture of the echinacea, and then obviously the texture in the honeysuckle with the discs and the yellow blooms. So if all goes well as I planned, we'll have a really cool pot that gives us a little something in each season, in each part of the season. And as a reminder, if you are into discounted plants, head on over and start looking now. Now's a great time. Here's a view of the final project. Me watering it in. Not great, obviously, with one water can in my hand and the phone in the other, or camera in the other, rather. But just settling the soil. You'll see that we have 4 main branches going to each one of those trellis sides. And it is a really cool woody texture. It's kind of got this peely bark kind of thing going on, which is cool. But there it is in the end. Let's hope that it treats us well and gives us a bunch of blooms. And I will give you updates as we go along. The tags are in the descriptions here or at the end of the video. if you are interested in getting any of these plants. So I hope this inspires you to get out and look for some discounted plants and put them together to make yourself a beautiful little bucket of joy.